Before we can understand the astrological horoscope, we first have to know how to read an astrological horoscope to see how it's set up. So in this particular chart, the signs are always fixed. So if you look at the screen, you'll see that Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and so on are in certain boxes within this chart. Now those signs are always in that position. So no matter what ascendant you might have, or no matter what your first house is, when you're looking at this style of chart, you will find those signs in that position. Now the thing that moves with this chart is the houses in the ascendant. So you'll see there's a little arrow pointing to the first house, and above it says Ascendant. So this indicates for this particular chart that the first house is Taurus. So the rising sign is Taurus. And the rising sign is different than the sun sign that most people are used to with Western astrology, because the sun sign changes every 30 days. However, the ascendant changes every 2 hours. So this is more specific to your personality, who you are, how you express yourself in the world, and how other people see you. Now from the first house, the houses and the signs always move in a clockwise direction. So we start at the first house, we see Taurus, the ascendant, and then we move to the next house, to the right, which is Gemini. And then below Gemini is Cancer, that's the third house. And below Cancer is Leo, which is the fourth house. And we keep going around in a clockwise manner. And this is how we figure out the positions of our houses. Now this next chart, you'll see that the ascendant is pointing to the box that has an LI and a slash through it. So that slash is always going to indicate the person's ascendant or rising sign. And that LI represents Libra. Because again, in these charts, Libra will always be in that particular position. Now since this person's a Libra ascendant, that makes Libra their first house. And then we see that Scorpio to the left is the second house, and the third house is Sagittarius. Again, we're moving in a clockwise rotation. Now on your charts, you'll see the abbreviations for the signs. So for Libra, it's LI, Scorpio, SC, Sagittarius, SG, Capricorn, CP, and so on around. In this third chart, we can see that the ascendant or the rising sign is Aquarius. So that's what the arrow is pointing to, the sign of Aquarius. And that slash through Aquarius indicates that that is the rising sign. So that makes Aquarius the first house, Pisces the second house, Aries the third house, Taurus the fourth, Gemini the fifth, Cancer sixth, Leo seventh house, Virgo eighth house, Libra ninth house, Scorpio 10th house, Sagittarius 11th house, and then finally Capricorn is the 12th house. Now the abbreviations for the planets, as you'll see, we have MA in the ascendant in the first house of Aquarius in this chart, and MA stands for Mars. The moon is in the third house with the abbreviation MO. K2, or the south node of the moon, is in the fourth house in Taurus. Jupiter is in the fifth house of Gemini, and the R after Jupiter means that it's retrograde. So if you see any planets with a big R after their abbreviation, it means that it's retrograde or moving backwards. There are no planets in the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th houses. And then in the 10th house, we have SA for Saturn, and RA for Rahu, the north node of the moon. And then in the 12th house of Capricorn, we have VE for Venus, SU for Sun, ME for Mercury. Now the numbers beside the ascendant and also underneath of the planets, they indicate the degrees at which the planets are positioned within that sign. So Mars is at 18 degrees, Moon is at 23 degrees. And within a sign, within a house, there's only 30 degrees. So planets will be between 0 and 29 degrees. Also, slightly different than Western astrology, whatever degree the ascendant falls in. So if we look at this chart with Aquarius at 5 degrees, 31, that means that the ascendant degree is 5 degrees, 31. And that means that the entire house, the entire first house is Aquarius. And then the entire second house is Pisces. So we don't divide up houses. If a planet is in a particular degree in that house, that's the house that it's in. The degree of the ascendant usually indicates a sensitive point within every other house. So 5 degrees of Aquarius is the most sensitive point within the ascendant, within that first house. That means that 5 degrees is also going to be a sensitive point in the second house, the third house, the fourth house, and so on. Every house will have a sensitive point at 5 degrees based off of this ascendant. So planets close to that degree will have a strong impact upon that house. For example, if we look at Jupiter in Gemini in the 5th house, which is at 6 degrees 34, that's going to show that Jupiter is going to have a stronger impact on the 5th house, more sensitive impact on the 5th house because it's closer to that initial ascendant degree. To review, the ascendant will be indicated by a slash through the sign in which the ascendant occupies. The sign that the ascendant occupies becomes the first house, and then we go clockwise around the chart. The second house would be the next sign, the third house would be the following sign, and so on in a clockwise direction. And the signs themselves, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, when we're looking at this style chart, those signs will always be in the same position, so they do not move. Where we see Aquarius now, if we looked at another chart, even if the ascendant was in a different place, that would still be the box that would indicate Aquarius. If we would look at Taurus, where Taurus is, on the top row, the third box over, Taurus will always be in that box. With this style chart, it is the ascendant and the houses that move.